Good morning, everyone.
Now you need the agenda.
The Human Service Commission regular meeting of Thursday, April 28th, 2022 to order. It is now 9:38 a.m. I am the Human Service Commission President, Scott Kahn. Commissioners, please respond with present when I call your name. Vice President McRae.
Present.
Commissioner Coughlin McDonald.
Present.
Commissioner Semmel. Commissioner Singh, I believe, is on Zoom. Oh, there he is, right there.
They bring the roll call.
We have a quorum. I'd like to welcome our new Commissioner, Sally Coughlin McDonald. Commissioner, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Sally McDonald. I'm Sally McDonald, and I'm very pleased to be part of this and look forward to
Talking.
it.
The new commission.
Item 2 on our agenda is, which we need to adopt. Are there any comments or questions from the commission regarding the agenda? Move the agenda, Mr. President. All in favor? Aye. Aye, so moved. Item 3 is the adoption of our March 10th, 2022 special meeting minutes. Are there any comments or questions from the commission regarding the minutes? Is there any public comment? Hearing no further requests to speak on this item, is there a motion to approve the March 10th special meeting minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Item 4 is the adoption of our March 24th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. Are there any comments from the commission regarding the minutes? Is there any public comment? Hearing no further requests to speak on this item, is there a motion to approve the March 24th special regular meeting minutes?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now turning the meeting over to item number 5 is the executive director's report. Brent, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Kahn. Welcome, new Commissioner McDonald. Very happy to have you. We have all 5 commissioners today. And welcome, Commissioner Singh, virtually. Good morning, other commissioners. Let me start just at the state level and what's going on. April is sort of typically the lull month where the budget committee hearings have sort of wrapped up and items are moved forward, and sort of awaiting the release of the governor's May budget revision, which is usually the second Friday of May. Basically, majority discussion around sort of how to spend the $35 billion surplus, dealing with the GAN limit, which is a requirement that when the budget reaches a certain surplus, a certain amount of funds have to go back to the taxpayers in some form, which is why you may have heard of the governor's gas rebate and legislature talking about that. They need to find a way to do basically tax relief, not wanting to do something that will be annual or ongoing with some sort of one time. So we will likely see some sort of, looks like rebate around gas, and they're discussing sort of income limits around that. And then the other big item going on in the legislature and in the budget committees is the governor's proposal around the care courts. Care court, I guess it could be one in every county, which is really the governor's approach towards addressing mental health needs of not only homeless individuals, which has got a lot of talk in the press, but really anyone who's suffering from mental illness, and a way to, in his vision around this, another path towards treatment through adjudication. It's not LPS conservatorship, which is another path, but it's maybe framed as less coercive and more sort of in partnership with individual suffering from mental illness, individuals' families, community supports, with the courts looking to enforce treatment provision by counties and in a voluntary way for clients, but sort of holding the county mental health service system accountable for providing those services, even going as far as the court having the authority to levy fines on counties who don't provide the services. It's really not targeted necessarily for our county, which is a fairly robust mental health service system. It's still not enough, of course, but it's really for counties who aren't providing even sort of the bare minimum. Some Central Valley counties, he's noted, as well as Southern California, Inland Empire. It's getting a lot of opposition, sort of typical opposition groups who were trying to move this image so I can see. Typical opposition groups who are trying to balance civil rights, civil liberties with compulsory treatment, and they've come out against this. Counties are sort of neutral at this point. A lot of counties are concerned about funding, sort of mandates about funding in the health service system. So a lot going on. It's the governor's #1 priority. We'll see if it gets through the legislature. There will be a budget piece of that will be in the mayor revise, as well as a budget trailer bill to see if it moves forward. So we'll see how that shapes out. In terms of its effect on human services, it's hard to know yet. A lot of the focus has been on the treatment side, but I would imagine in order to sort of draw down federal dollars, we enrollments in the Medi-Cal for individuals who would need that, maybe linkage to benefits, maybe down the road linkage to employment, but it's not really clear yet. That would be part of the mandate piece of the care accord. So we're continuing to dialogue with the legislature and the governor's office around it. So locally, the mayor's office, the mayor's budget office, typically between late February and really sort of mid-May, we're in fairly constant discussion and negotiation with the mayor's budget office to shape the budget that you all approved in late February that went to the mayor's office and the controller. It's sort of been on pause because the mayor's budget office has been waiting for the outcome of the labor contract negotiations, the city labor contracts. There's 46 labor contracts were all up at the end of this fiscal year. So we have a fair number of asks that are sort of pending with the mayor's budget office. The biggest one being continued funding for our food support initiatives that we expanded under COVID. Good news is that the all of the labor unions have tentatively agreed to a settlement around the contracts. The biggest issue generally is wages and wage increases. And this year, there will be the largest increase the city has offered to its city employees in about 2 decades. The mayor really wanted to recognize the efforts of city employees under COVID, pandemic response, of course, increasing inflation nationally over 8%, Bay Area over 5%. And the city has its first projected budget surplus in a couple of decades as well. So the tentative agreements will still need to be ratified by the members. 5.25% cost of living adjustment increase in July of this year, 2.5% the following July, and another 2.25% in January 24. There is a trigger that would push COLAs out 6 months if the city deficit is over $300 million. So next year, if it's over 300, COLA can be delayed. So that's clearly great news for our employees. It will help support our efforts to hire and retain staff, which has been a challenge, not only during the pandemic, but really as we come out of the pandemic. I think we're at probably the largest number of vacancies. I know we're at the largest number of vacancies citywide in the last couple of decades, and HSA will probably close, not unlike a lot of departments. DPW, I've heard, is at close to a 40% vacancy rate in some of the divisions. So it's a big deal, and hopefully this would help stabilize that a bit. It does affect the surplus. The March update reduced the projected surplus from about 108 million to about 75 million. Some of that is the wage increase. Some of it's also due to higher retirement costs. So we have a little less money to play with citywide. The mayor will then have to sort of work through what that surplus is. It balances a lot of asks. And the mayor came out in December and said we have over $100 million surplus. So city departments naturally put together a lot of asks. Again, our biggest one is $30-ish million to support, to fund our food support initiatives, that fund dozens of nonprofit agencies, and a lot of different ways to get food into low-income households. So those discussions now, since the contracts have been settled, have resumed, and we're hoping to get a decision from the mayor's office over the next 2 or 3 weeks, rather than waiting until June 1st. It'll allow us to a little more flexibility in terms of contract extensions and the like, if we know it's going to be in there. So within our divisions, economic support self-sufficiency, we'll start with CalFresh. As 4 of you probably know, if it does not, that there's a work requirement for single adults who are able-bodied aged 18 to 49. It's a condition of receiving CalFresh. The federal government requires them to work. I'm not in support of that. I think that food's a basic human right that shouldn't be attached to work requirements and healthcare. And so I'm pleased to report, given our position as a department and city, that the feds have extended the exemption of that work requirement through the end of June 2023. So we can now continue to really focus our efforts in CalFresh around outreach, around getting more households on the CalFresh and keeping folks on CalFresh as well. Related to that, we also, in the pandemic, as you know, in a lot of our entitlement programs, our benefit programs, the eligibility requirements to get on to assistance as well as to stay on assistance were relaxed in terms of having to come in for face-to-face, or making it easier to stay on benefits during the pandemic. And so that's continued as well. We can continue in CalFresh to waive the interview requirements for approved cases. We can use telephonic signatures and the student eligibility expansion as well. In addition, under CalFresh, federally it's called SNAP. So at the federal level, under COVID, they're doing what's called emergency allotments, which basically puts the CalFresh benefit at the highest level it can be for household size. It's about $95 emergency allotment for all households. So the totals will at least be at the household limit, sometimes above. And that's going to continue. That's continuing as well in May. CalFresh awareness. Talked a lot about CalFresh, and one of the reasons is that May is CalFresh Awareness Month. The state released a new website with a toolkit for interested parties, including us, to use to spread the word around CalFresh. Well, it's one of the sort of elements of CalFresh that makes it a little bit unique among our benefit programs is that you can work and also receive CalFresh. A lot of households who are working low moderate wages don't understand. So it's important to sort of get the word out and say, you know, you can come in, and you don't need to come in, you can apply and get $100, $200 or more dollars in food support, even though households are working. So there will be a proclamation to you all today, recognizing CalFresh Awareness Month. In Medi-Cal, I'm pleased to say in the beginning, May 1st, low-income individuals who are 50 years of age or older, regardless of immigration status, so basically undocumented households, individuals who are 50 and older will be eligible for full scope Medi-Cal, meaning they get complete Medi-Cal health insurance coverage. Prior to May 1st, they're eligible for limited scope, which is a much smaller range of benefits. It's going to affect about 3,000 Medi-Cal recipients in San Francisco. The transition, because most of these individuals are already on the limited scope, so the transition is really an electronic conversion rather than reapplication, or rather than individuals having to come into our office. So really pretty minimal manual intervention is required. just as a reminder, this initiative is really modeled after the young adult expansion, which is a similar population aged 19 to 25. We're expanded irrespective of immigration status 2 years ago. And then also a reminder, the governor's budget in January, he proposed making all low-income individuals, irrespective of immigration status, eligible for Medi-Cal. And that's it hasn't been passed yet. That is in the proposal. That would mean that individuals aged 26 to 49 who are otherwise eligible due to their income status would be eligible even if they're undocumented. So that would take, if it passed, I believe it's a lag that would go into effect in 2023, I believe. But that's still to be negotiated because obviously it's an expensive budget proposal, but certainly one that we support wholeheartedly. Also, Medi-Cal, similar to CalFresh, the waivers that were put in place for the public health emergency continue, which is a suspension of Medi-Cal renewals, which basically means that households and individuals do not have to come in to renew their benefits so they can stay on and continue to receive their health insurance. And then we also are not discontinuing sort of negative actions and eligible people to speak, but really the idea of a public health emergency is to maintain health insurance coverage for Medi-Cal as much as possible. And so that's continuing as well as the public health emergency continues. In our county level assistance program, for a new commissioner, CAP is the acronym. This is the cash assistance program for single adults who are low income. We're really doing a lot of outreach within that program and trying to connect more single adults without kids who are low income on the CAP. We're part of a multidisciplinary team to enroll clients in what's called the Housing and Disability Advocacy Program, or HDAP. This is the program for individuals who are low income who appear to be disabled and will qualify for the federal disability benefit called SSI, which is it's a grant that's probably $350 to $400 more per month than CAP. So we're working with Episcopal Community Services, Bay Area Legal Aid to outstation staff at the Bayview Navigation Center. We're screening for county adult assistance program eligibility, CalFresh and Medi-Cal. Also work with Bay Area Legal Assistance to provide the SSI advocacy for those who are disabled. So over a 2-week period, we plan to enroll about 60 clients, sort of the size of the navigation center, and then we'll move on to partnering with the other navigation center providers to do this work sequentially. In our workforce development division, the city has really made a very intentional effort to increase employment or increase job opportunities, including city employment for disadvantaged individuals, families by disadvantage, I mean, general low income. We're really trying to get out into the community. We've had job fairs in Bayview, in Western Addition, Mission, to try to, again, increase applications to city employment, but also increase opportunities for job training through our offerings, as well as the mayor's office workforce and economic development. We had a big one at Civic Center just this last Saturday. Over 32 city departments were represented. I'm told over 1,500 people had signed up, and even more than that attended. Just yesterday, we had a re-entry job fair partnership with the Latino Task Force. Really, our sort of role there as Human Services is twofold. One is to increase interest in jobs and careers at Human Services Agency, but also for those who might not be ready yet to increase enrollment in our programs, specifically Jobs Now, which is our subsidized jobs program. We've seen some numbers grow, and it's just a really, I think, healthy partnership when that many city departments are working together to that end. And the mayor was out there Saturday, really showing some leadership around this. And it's something we've been wanting to do for years and years. It's nice to have a great partnership with the Office of Economic Workforce Development and of course, the leadership from Route 200 in City Hall. In Family and Children Services, the month of May is Foster Care Month. So we generally, for May, we want to recognize our foster care providers, our resource families. We usually have an annual appreciation event that we do that we're not doing in person this year. So hopefully the last year we're not doing it in person. We are giving every resource family a $50 Target gift card, a new identification card for the HSA, HSA ID card, and the opportunity to attend the self-care training. We offer prizes and stuff there as well. So just a way of saying, to our resource families, you are partners in our agency. And we really value what you do. Couldn't do for kids and families couldn't do without you. Also, in family and children, I've talked before this commission about the Family First Prevention and Services Act, known as FFPSA. This was passed in 2018 and really it's an effort by the federal government to recognize that preventative services are vital to the work we do in child welfare. That bringing a child into foster care is the last thing we want to do. We want to really address families' issues, families in crisis, in a really upstream. Yet the federal government has never provided much funding to do that. There's a very small program called 4B that's been historically underfunded. And then the 4E program is federal funds that we can only use once we remove a child. So FFPSA, for the first time, allows funding to flow to counties in an uncapped way to do preventative work for families who are in crisis. So as part of that work, we've been doing prevention work in San Francisco for years, using largely general fund dollars, but this is the way to really, I think, grow the program in a way to again, try out unlimited federal dollars for certain programs. So we've hosted, so to that end, we're sort of trying to put together this big community network of preventative services and response, not only city departments, but largely community-based organizations as well. So we've hosted 2 virtual FFPSA community information sessions. Explain what it means, explain not only the funding, but really what we're trying to do as a city and develop a really holistic system. So the sessions provide an overview of the act of FFPSA, the planning process we're currently undertaking as a department, as a city, and really an opportunity for the community to share their insights and their expertise around what a better prevention system would look like in San Francisco. So we're going to hold more of these sessions. One of these was even recorded and added to YouTube, so we can push it out on our social media channels to get really more understanding and interest in partnership around this federal program. And then I just want to announce 3 retirements in really not in the agency, but among our community partners, community-based organizations. 3 very long-term partners who are retiring. Some have, one is very close. So Martha Ryan, who founded the Homeless Prenatal Program, which she's worked for over 3 decades. Jay Berlin, who founded Alternative Family Services, which is over 4 decades of service by Jay, and then Ken Barrick, who founded Seneca Family Agencies, who was there for over 3 decades. And these are critical partners in providing housing in terms of homeless prenatal substance abuse treatment, housing, support provision, alternative family services, partner really in our placement system, helping us with our emergency foster homes as well as other placements. And then Ken Barrick and Seneca is really the key partner for wraparound services, intensive mental health and other supports for families and kids. We presented them with a plaque to show our appreciation as an agency and their hard work. This was a virtual meeting we had with our advisory board. Just wanted to bring your attention. Some of you may recognize their names. They're really, we're critical partners in helping develop the system that we currently have for our kids and families in crisis and who we have been serving for decades. And then lastly, not related to any HSA program, I just wanted to bring to your attention, we, in our effort to increase the number of people who are vaccinated, both city employees and members of the public, we've been partnering with the Department of Public Health to provide vaccines and boosters to our clients and general public. We offered vaccine and booster clinics last week here at 170 Otis in the courtyard out front. Then we did one at 1235 Mission, which is our office, mostly for CAP clients, but also CalFresh as well. And then Friday at 1650 Mission, which is just over across the street. Again, just trying to make it as easy as possible to get either vaccinations or boosters. And there's one more clinic tomorrow as well. The second booster is available for anyone over age 50 and anyone who's immunocompromised. Just wanted to bring to your attention. It's always nice when we can foster a healthy, no pun intended, a healthy partnership with our public health colleagues and really provide health supports through HSA to our clients. So I will conclude with that. I'm going to look up, see who's here. I just want them to stand up. So, for your benefit, Commissioner, but since we've only seen faces and heads over the last 2 years, I just want my deputy directors who are in attendance to stand up. Just take your there. So Anna Pineda is our Deputy Director of Economic Support and Self-Sufficiency, Dan Kaplan, who's our Deputy Director of Finance and Administration, and then Joe Miller is our Deputy Director of Family and Children Services. Commissioner, just for your benefit, and they do have, I joked yesterday, they wanted to come down to show the commission, but they actually have bodies, heads, and really, for me, my 3 key deputy directors. The fourth one, Susie Smith, Director of Policy and Finance, is in another virtual meeting, so couldn't attend. So thank you guys. And I will conclude with that and open up the questions or comments.
Are there any questions from members of the Commission of Trent?
Just through the chair. I was excited to hear about the ongoing outreach events and how so many agencies within the cities and departments are participating. Just were vaccinations and testing made available to those while that community was gathering together?
I don't know. I don't, it wasn't just announced that it was, but it's a great idea. Yeah, and I'll certainly raise it with, they're really being coordinated through Office of Economic and Workforce Development. So I'll raise that. That's a great idea.
I know this is a consent matter calendar, but as I look at this, I see what we were talking about in terms of the emergency responses to groceries and food that we're doing on a monthly basis. As we think in terms of surpluses, is this figured into how we might use any surplus?
In terms of budget surplus?
Yes.
Yeah. So you'll actually, there's an item today on the agenda for some contracts for this. Yeah, I mean, really the biggest draw or biggest ask for us around the surplus is to support the, to continue to fund that food support. We've served over, I believe, Cindy Lynn is here, who's overseeing the initiatives, but I think over 110,000 bags. And she's nodding, yeah. She'll be up here and explain more, but it's really a very impressive network of providers that Cindy's leadership and others that we've been able to partner with to really touch, I don't want to say all parts of the city, but really a lot of the city, from the Bayview and Miss Valley and Excelsior, to folks in Richmond, Western Division, and north, of course, Chinatown and North Beach. So we're touching a lot of households who I think prior to the pandemic didn't need this type of support. And what we're finding is, this is a conversation we had with the heads of the Latino task force that, we talk about sort of being out of the pandemic or coming out of the pandemic and things are coming back to normal. They provide a really good example. A lot of members in their community who are in the hospital, service and work in the hospitality industry, and hotels might be filling up, but they're not cleaning rooms daily. They're only cleaning when they turn over. And so instead of working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, they're working 2 days a week, right? So it's just a really good example of the need that remains in our communities because of the workforce hasn't, gotten back to the robust way it was prior to the pandemic. And so, I think making that case, we have been making that case to the mayor and mayor's budget office, and the mayor 100% agrees. She only has so much surplus to deal with, so it's a balancing act. So, but the need is certainly there. and what we're able to provide or fund, what community-based organization will provide is very well received in the communities. So, well, I'll certainly, I'm hoping, in our meeting in the May, well, I'm not hoping, I know there will be a decision by the end of May, so, and I'm hoping it's a good decision, I can report back.
Any other questions of Trent? Excuse me. Seeing none, then let's move on to item 6, which is the employee of the month. The commission is pleased to announce that Leslie Lau, Senior Contracts Manager, is the April Employee of the Month. Leslie began his human service agency career as a member of the contracts team during the first days of the pandemic in March of 2022. He was immediately deployed as a DSW, which is short for Disaster Service Worker. As a DSW, Leslie was a quick, steady, and hard worker. His calm and cool demeanor was especially helpful and refreshing during this challenging period. Leslie's contributions to set up an implementation of the city's COVID emergency response shelter-in-place system have been immense and invaluable. He worked well across departments and quickly earned the respect of colleagues and management alike, including the SFH, SA, IT, and facilities leadership. His keen eye and attention to detail were essential skills for the hotel contracts. "I don't know what I'd do without him," was a common phrase among fellow DSWs. Leslie was and continues to be a key participant in the SIP hotel program. Since returning to contracts unit in the fall, Leslie became the workforce development and IT liaison. He is a fast learner and team player with considerable technical skills. Leslie is always willing to lend that extra hand or put in extra time. Last April, he was promoted to Senior Administrative Analyst. One of the most impressive things about Leslie is his problem-solving skills. He researches each issue, always having a solution or two to bring to the discussion to map the best way forward. Leslie also provides excellent customer service to all and is approachable, friendly, upbeat, and positive. Leslie consistently rises to the challenge of any situation, seeking solutions, showing sharp insight along with a great sense of humor to key to the city employment. It is with great appreciation and pride that we present Leslie with the Employee of the Month award. Mr. Orr, would you like to add to these comments?
I would love to. Thanks, President Khan. Congratulations, Leslie. I'm just really pleased, Commissioners, that you're recognizing someone in our contracts division. That often, in a world where we're doing contracts with hotels, over 30 of them, and all of the procurements and contracting that we need to do in response to the pandemic was a Herculean task. It was a lot of work. And not often, it's sort of behind the scenes, right? And not only do they have all that, but all the regular ongoing contracts that we need to renew and re-procure and all the city requirements that we do. And I'm acutely aware of the workload that they've been under, but they also pulled it off. We did 30 hour hotels in contracts, and we've never done contracts with 5 hotels before. There's a lot going on, and Leslie's, came on during the pandemic, right? Which is a hard time to start a new job and jump in with 2 feet and really, I think, symbolizes kind of all the work that the contracts team has done, but really exemplifies someone who who's a team player, works really hard and learned really quickly. And I'm just really pleased we're able to honor you today, Leslie. And I just want to thank you for your tremendous work and your colleagues for their tremendous work, and your leader, Esperanza, as well. So thank you.
Here, here.
So I have a desk clock, which is a gift from the commission to Leslie as our employee of the month for April 2022. And then I'm going to ask Leslie if he has some comments he'd like to make. Thank you.
This is work.
It's on.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you, President Khan and Commissioners and Executive Director Trent. Really appreciate the kind words. I'm honored and grateful to receive this award. I want to give a big thanks to my director, Esperanza Zapian, and my supervisor, Joanne Gunderman, and the entire contract team that's sitting right there. This award is for them as much as it is for me. I couldn't have done it without all their support. I also received a lot of thank you emails or congratulation emails during the week. I'm very humbled by those messages. And a lot of those messages quoted in that blurb, the calm and cool demeanor that I have. And I could tell you that the secret is that I'm a father of 3 beautiful boys that test me every day. Test my patience every day. So yeah. So and then last but not least, I want to thank my wife. She's sitting right there. One of the benefits of telecommuting was having her hear me out on the difficult tasks and help me brainstorm on all the solutions. So thanks again. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Item 7 is our consent calendar. Do any of my fellow commissioners want to remove an item for individual discussion? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, then I'd like to ask for a motion to approve our consent.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Item 8A is the resolution to hold in-person meetings with some members possibly appearing remotely. I'm going to turn to Trent. Do I need to read this?
No, it's okay, we do it every month. I'll just have you sign it.
Okay, moving on to,
No, you need to vote on it.
Yeah, you need to vote on it.
I would move the resolution to hold in-person meetings with some members possibly appearing remotely, number 54953E. I so move.
is there a second? All in favor? So moved. Item 8B, the commission is being asked to adopt a resolution proclaiming April 2022 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Joan Miller and Jenny Perlman, please come to the podium. Morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Welcome. Okay, this is the proclamation to recognize April 2022 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas child maltreatment impacts not just the child, but the family, the community, and society at large. The physical, mental, and emotional effects of maltreatment persist long after child maltreatment occurs and result in ongoing costs to society. And whereas child abuse continues to be persistent and persistent and pervasive problem in San Francisco, with 3,985 allegations of child abuse and 436 substantiations in 2021. The preliminary estimations of the cumulative financial impact to the San Francisco community for the 436 verified child victims in 2021 is $318 million. Abused children are more likely to experience negative educational, health, and behavioral outcomes, which contribute to many of San Francisco's challenges, such as homelessness, chronic health issues, and high school dropout rates. And whereas rates of both allegations and substantiation of child abuse disproportionately impact BIPOC families, biracial people of color families, requiring us to address long-standing issues of structural and systemic racism. Society has a moral and ethical obligation to protect families from unnecessary intervention of child welfare and ensure the availability of services and supports that strengthen all families. And whereas direct investment in social programs for children and families and community protective factors, such as economic supports, community institutions and services, high-quality childcare, and policies and educational campaigns that promote equity and inclusion and change social norms, prevent child abuse, and provide short and long-term benefits, far outweighing the overall cost of downstream interventions to address the costly results of child maltreatment and trauma. And now I will turn it over to my colleague from Safe and Sound, Jenny Furman.
Good morning, everyone. Whereas the effective prevention efforts succeed because of collaboration between community and public organizations, recognition of the strengths, experiences, and wisdom of families, and accessible, non-stigmatizing services. San Francisco has invested in several key prevention strategies, including the Family Resource Center Initiative, jointly funded by the Human Services Agency, First Five, and the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. And whereas it is essential to continue to invest in child abuse prevention and raise awareness about child abuse and the need to support all vulnerable children and their families, healthy children and families create the foundation for communities to thrive. And now, therefore, we, the Human Services Commission, join with others, including the Human Services Agency and Safe and Sound, to recognize April 2022 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. We urge all San Franciscans to take shared responsibility for child and family well-being and for ensuring that every family has what they need to be safe, healthy, and strong.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from our mission?
Question? Yes, thank you very, very much. It's April 28th.
I know.
What are we gonna do the next 3 or 4 days?
Actually, we've been doing things all month. So we've had things on our social media.
There's been several trainings. We've been partnered actually with the 10 other counties that make up the Greater Bay Area Child Abuse Prevention Councils. And so there's been trainings throughout and awareness raising. City Hall was lit up blue in honor of Child Abuse Prevention Month on April 1st. So there have been many activities.
We're just late to the formality of it.
Yes.
Is it possible to have such as that affixed to this, that this is what we did with it?
Sure.
And I'm also just interested in how are we supporting the Family Resource Center initiative? What does that look like?
Well,
Tremendously.
primarily, yeah, thank you. Primarily financially, we help fund it. We have also, we're also partnering with them. I mean, we partner with them all the time, but we're also partnering very closely with them for our FFPSA implementation, which is the Family First Prevention Services Act Trent has been talking to you about off and on, to help support the families in the community that might otherwise come to our attention.
Yeah, I don't want to prolong my comment, but we have two grandsons.
Mhm.
All around tension is getting more. And so when you say we want to help families take responsibility, that to me is exciting. But we really need it. I mean, we need you to help us deal with this rising,
We agree.
you know,
And
rising everything, rising loss, rising tension. They're coming home from school, rising homework, rising teachers. So this is exciting. I know we do it yearly, as I remember. So I hope we can really get ahead of it and really get it out there that HSA is concerned about this. Let's push this. Thanks.
Yeah, and we are, there are certain requirements under FFPSA that the state has put on us, but San Francisco, I feel like we're taking it one step further, or maybe 10 steps further, to making it a citywide prevention plan. So it's not just for us, we're partnering, we hope, well with the community to provide these services for families.
These babies.
Yeah.
I appreciate that we calling attention to this. By having one, or another follow through and make certain we can encourage us to continue. Because it doesn't stop with one move.
Yeah, I would suggest that maybe we do this presentation the month before.
Yeah.
At the meeting the month before, so we can look forward and to participate. As far as I'm concerned, the commission work, our main work is to run this meeting, but I personally think our commission work is for us to occasionally be out in the community and participate. So I would offer for any agency that needs the help of our commission. We don't have to meet as a commission to simply go attend something and see what people are going through. I certainly offer up myself for that, as I have in the past. But, okay, is there any public comment?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hearing no further requests to speak on the item, we will close public comment. Is there a motion?
Second.
All in favor? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8C, the commission is being asked to adopt a resolution proclaiming May 2022 as CalFresh Awareness and Action Month. Jamel Bellamide, please come to the podium. I'm sorry if I pronounced that name wrong.
That's all right. Good
How do you
morning,
pronounce
Commissioners.
it?
It's Jamil Bellamide.
Okay, well, you did better than me because you got a longer time to know.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Trent. My name is Jamil Bellamide. I'm a manager with SFBN. We administer CalFresh and the Medi-Cal programs for SFHSA. I'm here requesting the adoption of resolution proclaiming May 2022 as CalFresh Awareness and Action Month in the City and County of San Francisco. Whereas this is a resolution declaring May 2022 as CalFresh Awareness and Action Month in the City and County of San Francisco, and urging all community members to support efforts to increase awareness of and participation in the CalFresh program. And whereas access to safe, nutritious, and culturally acceptable food is a basic human right and is essential to human health. And whereas food security is a foundation of a strong and healthy community. And whereas food insecurity in San Francisco has risen to historic proportions during the pandemic, CalFresh has played a critical role in filling the gap. And whereas all households during the public health emergency received the maximum allotment for their household size. For example, households of one that received $16 in February 2020 are now receiving $250 monthly. This supplement allotment is approved monthly by the state. And whereas from January 2020 to March 2022, the number of San Francisco households receiving CalFresh increased from 49,068 to 70,638 households. This is due to the surge in applications during the early months of the COVID pandemic. During the same period, calls from the public to our call center jumped from an average of 10,764 calls per month for active cases to 22,578 calls. Total calls regarding CalFresh grew by 110% in 2 years. And whereas during the health emergency, the federal government has allowed states to waive the requirements that clients participate in an interview as part of the CalFresh application process. In the past, a complete application could be denied for missing a required interview. This is not currently the case. And whereas in recognition of many students who are struggling with food insecurity, the federal government instituted a waiver during the pandemic, easing the access of students to SNAP. As such, the nation has expanded student eligibility to include more who qualify via work study or using expected family contribution as an income indicator. And whereas in response to the homeless crisis during the pandemic, the San Francisco Human Services Agency has engaged in in-person CalFresh outreach to homeless persons temporarily staying in shelter-in-place hotels. From September 15, 2020 to April 20, 2022, SFBN has processed 2,237 CalFresh applications. Additionally, they have submitted 1,570 Medi-Cal and 1,343 CAP applications. This is one of the most integrated outreach efforts ever embarked upon by the Division of Economic Support and Self-Sufficiency Programs. And whereas SFHSA continued to contract with 2-in-1 San Diego to expand CalFresh access and increase food security. On a weekly basis, staff from 2-in-1 San Diego conduct telephone outreach to approximately 100 individuals who are likely eligible to receive CalFresh due to receiving a supplemental security income or SSI, to determine if they are interested in obtaining assistance in submitting applications online, which SFHSA eligibility workers then process. And whereas with funding from the Federal Process and Technology Improvement Grant, our key partner, the San Francisco Marin Food Bank, has launched a new program to help increase the number of mybenefitscalwin.org or MyBCW client accounts with the end goals of 1, decreasing in-person lobby transactions, particularly relevant during the ongoing pandemic, and 2, learning how low-income persons, namely those with limited English, experience technology so that the agency can engage them in future technology developments. MyBCW is an online application portal that allows individuals to create personal accounts that make it possible to use one's personal computer, tablet, or smartphone to submit benefit applications, among other functions. To date, the San Francisco Marin Food Bank has assisted approximately 1,000 CalFresh recipients in signing up for MyBCW accounts. And whereas SNAP programs throughout the nation are currently waiving all work requirements due to the public health emergency and high unemployment. And whereas Market Match allows a CalFresh household to extend the value of its benefits, farmers markets will double the value of purchases made using CalFresh EBT. This promotes healthy food options, supports farmers, and extends the client's CalFresh budget. And whereas March 2022 saw the highest ever usage of EBT food benefits at San Francisco farmers markets of about $531,000. And whereas San Francisco continues to offer a restaurant meals program, allowing homeless, seniors, and the federally disabled to use their CalFresh allotments to pay for meals in designated restaurants. This increases the access to hot meals for those without easy access to kitchens. Now, therefore be it resolved that the San Francisco Human Services Commission proclaims May 2022 to be CalFresh Awareness and Action Month, and urge all community members to support efforts to increase awareness of and participation in the CalFresh program. Open any questions, commissioners.
We pass this resolution, this action we approved. What's the follow
She's like,
up? The other one, I would know, successful.
After they pass the resolution, which are metrics to measure success.
Oh, I mean, we'll continue to keep track of our applications that are submitted to us. We'll continue to continue to work with organizations that work with students to increase student eligibility. We'll continue to be in the community, telling people how to apply for benefits, how to access us in multiple channels, and just to keep people aware of all these rules and regulations that make it a little easier to access our benefits.
Any other questions?
I just lift up my eyes and I see Mr. Kaplan, so I wonder how deep is his pockets for these next couple of months to get the word out on electronically, TV, and so on, as we think, because I think it's to me, this is what we're doing, San Francisco. This is what your agency are doing. We need your awareness. We need your help. We need you to know where to go. We need you to celebrate this month with us. Mr. Kaplan, you check out.
Well, I can, you want to talk a little bit about what we're doing with
Yeah, for CalFresh Awareness Month, we continue to work with our communications team, social media, and work with the state as well, because they've also developed outreach material. The state wants to recognize May as CalFresh Awareness Month across the state. So we work with them, we work with our county comms team to help spread the word. I have trainers on my team who go out into the community and teach people CalFresh basics, and let them know what to expect in the application process should they ever need.
Couple of additional comments. Commissioner, thanks for the question. Enthusiasm. You're going to see beginning May 2nd, I believe, we're it's not specific to CalFresh, but it's about HSA and sort of our rebranding. You're going to start seeing banners on buses going by, and also bus shelters on the street, wrapping HSA posters and sort of pointing people to our website, and like neat pictures and taglines. I can have our comms director come next month and show you what we're doing, but you will likely see that we're doing it in targeted neighborhoods as well. So, and in the targeted languages. So China, for example, the posters will be large in Cantonese, Mission, some in Spanish. And we're going to be doing it on more looked at neighborhood data, kind of the neighborhoods where we have a higher concentration of households that might be eligible for our services. We have those posters out. So that's sort of general sort of HSA awareness. Throwing back to the budget, we have, when you look at these numbers are astounding. My bad that I didn't know that we increased this much, but from 49,000 to 70,000 households with not an increase in the number of staff to do this work. In fact, we have more vacancies now in SF Benefits Net that does the CalFresh. I don't know, we have more vacancies now than we did prior to the pandemic. Yeah, we have a caseload that's close to over 20,000 more. So as part of our budget discussions with the Mayor's Budget Office is an increase in the number of positions to do this work. So we're hiring, trying to hire quicker in SFB, SF Benefits Net. We're having larger training classes to try to onboard more people to fill existing vacancies, but we also have a proposal to add, I don't know the exact number, but it's more than 40 positions to SFBN to do the work. Because if you do the outreach and the work flows to us, it also frees up more of our staff to do the outreach work as well. So that's again part of the discussion with the Mayor's Budget Office. The good thing about that is we draw federal and state revenue to support a lot of these positions, and so it's not 100% borne by the general fund. So I'm hoping that relief comes as well. If we don't get everything we ask for, hopefully we do get part of it. That'll help. Yeah, not only provide better service, but also, I think onboarding more folks who are eligible.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Hearing no further requests to speak on the item, we will close public comment. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Item 8D is Casey Schmoot. Am I pronouncing that right, Casey? Schutte, requesting authorization to enter into a new grant agreement with Edgewood Center for Children and Families for the provision of kinship services for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2026, in the amount of $2,403,256, plus a 10% contingency for a total not to exceed $2,643,582. Casey.
Thank you.
Good morning, President Khan and Commissioners. My name is Casey Schutte, and I'm a Program Support Analyst with Family and Children Services. I am here today to seek your authorization to enter into a grant agreement with Edgewood Center for Children and Families for the provision of kinship services for families caring for youth who have been involved in the child welfare system in San Francisco. Under this grant agreement, Edgewood provides services to families who have assumed the role of permanent caregiver to youth from San Francisco's child welfare system, primarily through legal guardianship. By providing these services, Edgewood promotes family safety and stability and helps prevent the re-entry of children into foster care. The program provides caregivers and the children in their homes with connections to community resources, crisis intervention, and case management services. All services are individualized and based on an assessment of each family's circumstances. Some caregivers simply need a consultation and referrals to community services, while others benefit from intensive case management services and educational programming. The program also helps caregivers build a strong informal support network by hosting parenting groups, respite programs, and community events. Edgewood has been partnering with FCS to provide these services since 2016. Through the partnership, each year over 300 families receive some form of information and referral services, while over 70 families receive support with basic needs or intensive services. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have regarding this request. Also joining us today is, and available to answer questions, is Cynthia Green, Edgewood's Director of Family Support. Thank you for your consideration.
Are there any comments or questions from the commission?
I just have one question, Mr. Schutte. Thank you very much. I noticed that this term is for 4 years. Is there a reason why 4 years and not 5 years or 2 years or 4 years? Just struck me. I hadn't noted that before in terms of contract.
Yeah, I think I'll defer to the contracts team on this one. Okay.
Contracts prefers to do that. We go anywhere from 3 to 5 to try to break up the procurement so that it's balanced, so we don't get too much work in the year.
Oh, hi, I'm Johanna Gendelman. I'm a contract manager. Starting this year for the pandemic, we started doing a term of 4 years. We used to do 3 + 2, and then we found that that was a tremendous amount of work, and 95% of the case we were renewing the grant. So we decided to just go for the 4.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It also helps us space out the work.
That way
Thanks
we
for
don't
asking.
have- We don't have all of our contracts needing to be renewed in a single year, which is, hundreds of contracts.
Yeah. I just saw it. I went, oh, New Year.
Is there any public comment? Hearing no further request to speak on the item, we will close public comment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Item 8E, Cindy Lynn requesting authorization to enter into a new grant agreement with Chinatown YMCA, Farming Oak, LA Kachina, and San Francisco Housing Development Corporation for provision of food insecurity community kitchen access for the period of May 1st, 2022 through April 30th, 2023. In the combined amount of $826,400, plus a 10% contingency for a total amount not to exceed $909,040. Cindy Lynn, please come forward. You're here for it. So, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Cindy Lynn. I am the manager of the Food Coordination Team at HSA. Today, I'm seeking authorization to enter into new grant agreements with 4 nonprofit organizations as a result of RFP 977, which intends to activate community kitchens to improve meal access to food insecure San Franciscans. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, many community organizations provided food to their communities by cooking in commercial kitchens that were located within their own neighborhoods. Due to the safety protocols put in place to slow the spread of COVID-19, many of these kitchens that were once the heart of their communities could no longer stay open and have become dilapidated. In order to reactivate these commercial kitchen spaces for community to cook for community, request for proposals 977 was released. The 4 grants that I'm presenting are the result of the RFP process. The term will be from May 1st, 2022 to April 30th, 2023. The combined amount is $826,400 plus 10% contingency for a not to exceed amount of $909,040. Grantee 1 is Chinatown YMCA for the amount of $200,000 plus 10% contingency for a not to exceed amount of $220,000. This grant will allow the seniors in the Chinatown area to prepare meals at the Chinatown YMCA's commercial kitchen space. The meals will be for SRO residents of Chinatown and low-income seniors. Grantee 2 is Farming Hope for the amount of $225,000 plus 10% contingency for a not to exceed amount of $247,500. This grant will hire cohorts of unemployed or underemployed San Franciscans to prepare meals from Farming Hope's commercial kitchen. The meals will be distributed to support low-income and or at-risk families with young children. Grantee 3 is La Cocina for the amount of $126,400 plus 10% contingency for a not to exceed amount of $139,040. This grant will increase access to La Cocina's commercial kitchen located in the Tenderloin neighborhood. Culturally tailored culinary events and nutrition education will be provided to the Tenderloin's food insecure residents so that they may improve their own cooking choices, food choices and cooking skills. And finally, grantee number 4 is San Francisco Housing Development Corporation for the amount of $275,000 plus 10% contingency for a not to exceed amount of $302,500. This grant will activate the historic Peacock Lounge, which is the first Black-owned venue space in San Francisco. It will become a community kitchen, which will prepare meals for seniors and low-income community members in the Western Addition Fillmore neighborhood. Commissioners, thank you for your consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from members of the commission? Is there any public comment? Hearing no further requests to speak on the item, we will close public comment. Is there a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Yeah, Cindy, you don't need to move.
No, I'm right here. Prepared.
Item 8F, also Cindy Wren, presenting a request to authorize to modify the existing grant agreement with Chinatown Community Development for the provision of support for the annual Chinatown food giveaway event, which has been disrupted by COVID-19 for the past 2 years for the period of April 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2022. For an additional amount of $154,000 plus a 10% contingency for a revised total amount not to exceed $653,997.
Thank you, Commissioner. I am seeking authorization to modify a grant agreement with the Chinatown Community Development Center. As you stated, the term is a little bit short. I saw that you might have hesitated there, and I wanted to explain that this is for a grant that was already slated to end June 30th, and so we are modifying it for the next 2 months in order for this event to actually happen. So a little bit of context on the annual Chinatown food giveaway event. Since 1996, this event has distributed kitchen staples to thousands of low-income San Franciscans each year. Unfortunately, this event was severely disrupted by COVID-19 at a time when the community needed food support the most. For the last 2 years, the event has been canceled due to supply chain issues, increased cost of goods, and the loss of funding, in addition to the difficulties of hosting large gatherings during the pandemic. This grant modification would allow for CCDC to act as the fiscal sponsor of the event, which has historically been a very successful collaboration between dozens of Chinatown-based community organizations. Without the support from HSA, this event will be canceled for the 3rd consecutive year. The goal for this year's event, in light of the increased food insecurity amongst our most vulnerable populations, is to distribute essential cooking items to at least 5,000 San Franciscans. By eligibility for this event, all of them will be either on CalFresh or receiving Medi-Cal. Commissioners, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on this item.
Any questions from members of the commission? Is there any public comment? Hearing no further requests to speak on the item, we will close public comment. Is there a motion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
8G and H are grant agreement modification requests presented by Adriana Duran for 5 key schools and programs. Adriana. Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Adrienne Duran, Community Services Program Monitor for the Welfare to Work Services. The Department of Benefits of Family requests authorization to modify the existing grant with 5 key schools and programs for academic assessment services for the grant period of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2024, in the additional amount of $108,176 plus a 10% contingency for a revised total amount not to exceed $365,544. The purpose of the modification is to extend the grant term for 2 additional years and provide academic assessment services to the welfare to work participants. The majority of jobs with good salaries in the present economy require an escalating amount of academic skills and credentialing. Those without a minimum of a high school diploma are being left behind, as the lower the education level is, the lower the wages. 5 Keys has a proven track record for working with low-income students with multiple barriers and has developed a unique program that has produced strong results for those who have not found success in the traditional classroom. Academic assessments, orientations, and intake will be provided to CalWorks, PAYS, CAP, CalFresh, and Avon participants. Services will include transcript evaluation, verification of high school diploma, report of credits needed to apply for graduation, assistance with obtaining special education services, and referrals to high school diploma services and GED preparation services. This program will serve 100 participants annually. I am available to answer any questions, and Doric Scarpelli from 5 Keys is here virtually in our Zoom call.
Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve. So moved. On favor? Aye.
So when the memo we submitted, it's the same provider but 2 separate contracts. So it's item H, G and H.
Okay.
So I'll continue. The Department of Benefits of Family requests authorization to modify the existing grant with 5 keys and programs for CalLearn educational support services for the grant period of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2024, in the additional amount of $39,774, plus a 10% contingency for a revised total amount not to exceed $107,487. The purpose of the modification is to extend the grant term for 2 additional years for educational support services to pregnant and parenting teens in the CalLearn program. CalLearn is a statewide program for pregnant and parenting teens in the CalWorks program. It is designed to encourage pregnant and parenting teens to graduate from high school or its equivalent, become independent, and form healthy families. The program provides comprehensive case management and linkages to a wide range of supportive services, including medical care, job counseling, housing, legal services, and parenting education. 5 Keys will assess each CalLearn participant educational needs and determine an appropriate service plan through an individual and small group sessions. Services will include transcript evaluation, educational counseling, GED, high school equivalent assessment, assistance with enrollment or re-enrollment into the SFUSD schools or other educational programs, an independent GED GED instruction. This program will serve 15 CalLearn participants annually. Again, I am available to answer any questions, and Dr. Scarpelli is on the Zoom call as well.
Are there any questions from members of the commission? In public comment? I ask for a motion to, we've already approved 8G, now we're approving 8H. Is there a motion to approve? All in favor?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Okay. 81 is Melissa Connolly requesting authorization to enter into a new contract with Todd Wright for the provision of ombudsman services for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2026 in the amount of $624,000 plus a 10% contingency for a total amount not to exceed $686,400. Melissa, you're at the podium.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, President Khan, Commissioners and Trent. My name is Melissa Connolly, and I'm an acting program director with FCS. I'm here on behalf of the Department of Benefits and Family Support to request authorization to enter a 4-year contract with Todd Wright to provide ombudsperson services for FCS. Todd has been the ombudsperson since 2004. If approved, this will be the 5th time he has been awarded this contract through a competitive bid process. As ombudsperson, Todd serves as an impartial intermediary to resolve complaints from families and caregivers with the appropriate FCS staff. As you mentioned, this contract runs from 7/1/22 to 6/30/26 and is in the amount of $624,000 plus 10% contingency for a total not to exceed $686,400. Todd is here with us today, and he and I are both happy to answer any questions that you have.
Are there any comments or questions from the commission?
Good morning, Mr. Todd. Good to see you again, Mr. Wright. How has it been since last year to come before?
It's been an interesting ride, sir. Well, in terms of the complaint trends have probably remained fairly normal. I do think from a cultural perspective, I note that there is a sense of vitriol in certain complaints that was not there historically, and I think that's probably due to some political stuff, some health-related stuff, and I think a growing perhaps distrust of what government does or does not do. So the overall numbers I'd say are consistent, but there, in certain cases, maybe a small percentage, there is a kind of a palpable difference in people's perspective. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for that work that you do as an ombudsman for us and for the clients. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Good to see you.
Are there any comments from members of the commission? Seeing none, is there any public comment? Hearing no further requests to speak on the item, we will close public comment. Is there a motion? All in favor? Aye. So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8J, Alex Leontief. Am I pronouncing that properly?
Very well, sir.
Good, thank you. Alex Leontief requesting authorization to enter into a new contract agreement with Mobile Stream Solutions for the provision of secure instant messaging for the period of May 1st, 2022 to April 30th, 2025 in the amount of $770,564 plus a 10% contingency for a total amount not to exceed $847,620. Alex.
Good day, President Khan, Commissioners, and Executive Director Rohr. My name is Alex Leontiev. I am the Business Engagement Team Lead from IT. I'm here to request authorization to enter into a new contract with MobiStream Solutions for the period May 1st, 2022 through April 30th, 2025, in the amount of $770,564 plus 10% contingency for a total amount not to exceed $847,620. The purpose of this contract is to provide a secure instant messaging service to HSA staff, clients, and partners. SMS, text messaging, and instant messaging services have become the preferred mode of communication among our clients. Many of younger ones only interact via this mode of communication. Not all these services are secure. Communications can be intercepted and viewed by unauthorized third parties. HSA staff have been challenged by this situation since they cannot utilize text messaging when communicating sensitive information, which applies to a majority of their client communications. Staff have had to invent a variety of workarounds to address this issue, but this approach is inefficient and limiting. The optimal solution is to engage with a vendor to provide a secure, compliant, instant messaging service that protects all communications via encryption, preventing third parties from being able to see the content of communication, and also ensuring that the agency can fulfill its requirements to keep a record of communications with our clients. A number of vendors provide such a service. However, their offerings vary to great extent in other areas such as ease of use and cost, especially to clients. HSA IT has conducted in-depth research and comprehensive testing to identify a set of business and technical requirements that were used to issue an RFP. MobiStream Solutions was the only vendor who could meet all these requirements at reasonable cost. I'll be happy to address any questions you may have, and I thank you for your consideration.
Are there any questions from members of the commission? Is there any public comment? Hearing no further request to speak on the item, we will close public comment. Is there a motion? Second? All in favor? Aye. So moved. 8K.
Just looking at that little section of the contract, phase 2.
Bernadette Casino presenting request to modify the existing contract with document fulfillment services for the provision of following document processing and mailing for the period of July 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2023 for an additional amount of $1,885,714 plus a 10% contingency for revised total amount not to exceed $7,552,285. Bernadette, please come to the podium. You're here.
I'm here. Good morning, President Khan, Commissioners. Good morning, Executive Director Rohr. I am Bernadette Casino, an IT manager responsible for the Calvin system. Calvin is the primary computer application that our staff use to determine eligibility to benefits and calculate grant amounts for Medi-Cal, CalWORKS, CalFresh, CAP, and foster care. We have regulatory mandates to send client correspondences, forms, letters to notify applicants or recipients of actions taken on the case. For example, if we approve benefits, increase, decrease benefit amounts, deny or discontinue benefits. Also, informational packets and notices are sent to our customers. We also send packets of forms when a client has to renew their application for benefits. An electronic file of these correspondences is sent to the vendor document fulfillment services for them to process, including laser printing, putting a barcode on appropriate forms, inserting publications such as the National Voter Registration Card, printing and folding, and also mailing them out.
Client correspondence is generated via Calendar is one of the primary ways we communicate information to our clients in writing. Hence, we would like to request your authorization to extend the existing contract with Document Fulfillment Services for the period of July 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2023 in the amount of $1,885,714 plus a 10% contingency for a revised total amount not to exceed $7,552,285. Thank you for your consideration, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Comments or questions from the commission? Seeing none, I'm going to turn to public comment. Public comment. Hearing no further request to speak on the item, we will close public comment. Is there a motion? Second, all in favor?
Thank you.
Item 9 is public comment. Comments from the public will be received at this time regarding matters under the jurisdiction of the Human Service Commission. Is there any public comment? Hearing no request for public comment, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.